In the last couple of videos, we've looked at that Hitachi CP900, and that was the one that had the two detachable tape decks and detachable tuner. And we found that both tape decks needed belts and other work on them, and the tuner had a blown IC and some damage from leaking batteries. Well, I got it all back together. We're going to give it a final try and see if it actually works. I'm not holding my breath. Okay, so we're back onto this CP900. We'll see if it works. I've got everything plugged in, except for the power cord. We're going to plug that in now and see whether this thing even does anything. Now, considering all the problems with all the other components, it's probably not going to work, but let's see what happens here. I don't hear any sound. I see indicators coming up on the LED indicator, but I don't hear any sound. So what else is wrong with this? We know that the tuner works, and we know that the two tape players work. Tuner line in. See, I don't hear any sound. Speakers on or off. Maybe they're on now. Oh, cool! It actually works. I don't hear sound out of one speaker. Now let's just turn this thing around. Make sure the other speaker's plugged. Well, it is plugged in. So the right channel's not working. I hear something there. I bet it's this cable. Of course, it doesn't have an antenna on it because it uses, maybe it works through this. It should. You would think it would work through this one. The radio's not very sensitive. Let's try the tape decks. Tape number 1. See if it works any better. Of course it doesn't. It doesn't even turn on. Like it's got no power. Oh, that's tape 2. That would explain it. And of course only one channel plays on here. Only the right channel plays on this one. Well, we know it worked. We know both of them worked before. It must be the connection here, where it's connecting at the back here. Okay, well, let's try tape number 2, or tape number 1, I guess this one is. This is tape 1 on this side. And it's going slow. And it was going the correct speed when I had it playing separate. I think that maybe these contacts need to have a bit of cleaner on them because, well, we heard both channels kick in once I removed it and plugged it back in. So let's just clean these contacts at the back here. We'll give them a little shot of cleaner. You might want to do this with some deoxit and give the contacts a bit of a clean, because maybe that's where the problem is. It's losing voltage going in here, and it's not giving it the right voltage, and it's running slow, because it definitely ran the correct speed when I powered it up externally yesterday. I'm actually quite surprised that the amplifier even works at all, considering that everything else didn't work. Alright, I'm just going to power it up with my power supply set for 3 volts. So there's 3 volts. The voltage of the power supply directly impacts the speed. There's no regulation, there's no speed regulation on the clip. There's 3.5 volts. I'm going to drop it down to 3 volts and start to go slow. So it does play properly, but it's not playing properly on its own base unit. Now, whether the voltage is not high enough or whether it's the belt that I put on there, because I put what I could get, and it's a thicker belt than the original, but I couldn't get the dimensions of the original belt. It's definitely playing slow on here. And the other tape deck. Now this was playing the right speed. It sounds like it needs its contacts cleaned here as well, because one channel is only working. Put some cleaner on here. Might be just dirty contacts. It was playing the right speed and it slowed down. plug the tuner in place of one of the tape decks, I guess the tape deck could be stored in there, right? If you're not using it. If I plug the tuner in place of one of the tape decks, I get both channels. Speakers almost sound like they're blown. I'm going to put an external input onto this to the auxiliary input. I think the speakers are shot. That left one sounds pretty bad. 80 watts? Yeah, right. That sounds pretty bad. The radio is not very sensitive, but remember that I'll just try another input on here. I'll just feed my own stuff into here and see how the amplifier sounds through the auxiliary line input on the back. See if that sounds any better. Okay, that's what's being fed in now. There we go. Yeah, it still sounds like crap. The speakers are shot. Ah, man, what else is wrong with this thing? Okay. Headphones sound perfect. I don't know if you can hear it on the camera here, but headphones sound perfect. Speakers are blown. I don't know how much further I'm going to go on this. Well, that was the radio playing, not the tape player. That's coming from my MP3 player. But yeah, listen to the speakers. Sound is perfect through the headphones. It's got bad speakers, unfortunately. Listen to the radio now through here. Only one channel. There, now I got both channels. Yeah, the radio sounds perfect through here. Listen. But through the speakers, waking up at dawn, the sun breaks the sky. No bass. They try to bring the bass up, their speakers start to rattle. And it sounds perfect through the speaker. I think at this point I'm going to have to get back to the guy that owns it and say, listen, you know, I put a bunch of time into this. I put a new IC in the tuner that was burnt. There's corrosion on the board that we saw, that crappy board's on here. Just absolute junk as far as I'm concerned. Just the construction of these things is just absolute junk. New belts. I got the closest belts I could get. They're not as thin as the original belts, which were thinner. These were 2mm belts, and the original ones were like 1mm belts. Can't get anything like that anymore. They don't make them, at least not that I've been able to find. The contacts are dirty between these interfaces, so that it cuts in and out. One channel cuts in and out. You remove it and insert it a few times, and it kicks back in. And but on top of that, the speakers are blown. So it's never going to sound good unless you can replace the speakers. I think at this point I'm just going to get back to the fellow that owns it. He'll probably have seen the video by the time I get hold of him. And, we'll see what he wants to do. He's already paid me in advance for doing a bunch of work on this. And I've already, I've put in about $40 by the time the shipping was paid and taxes and stuff for the belts and the IC, which the IC wasn't that expensive. But by the time everything got here, it's around $40 I've put into it. I've put countless hours into these units already to get them working in the state that they're working. They play the right speed when you're running them off batteries or an external power, but on here it's running slow. It's probably due to the power. There's resistance between the power connector and these stupid connectors on the back. Anyway, I think I'm going to just put this one aside at this point. I got it working, but it doesn't sound great due to the fact that the speakers themselves are shot. They're all raspy sounding. But with headphones, it sounds fine. So we know the amplifier works, we know the equalizer works. Everything's working, it's just the speakers are now blown. So what else is wrong with it? Well, now we know. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Maybe there'll be another part if we get back on this thing again, but at this point I'm kind of washing my hands of it because it's just becoming one thing after another with this one. And, once you go down that rabbit hole and start changing a bunch of parts, where do you stop? Where do you draw the line and say, okay, enough is enough? I think at this point, enough is enough with the blown speakers. But you never know. Anyway, thanks for watching.